Y'all know you can play games on your Switch, but I've been keeping my eye on this market of non-games. Applications that turn your Switch into something else, like a musical instrument or a drawing tablet or something that it's clearly not. And no, I'm not talking about Labo. I'm not breaking out that cardboard again. I've been dabbling around with these apps, and it's been kind of reminding me of when the iPhone first came out, and everyone was trying to make simple, stupid apps for it just to say they had apps on the iPhone. Yeah, well, not many of these are any good either. Before we get into this, let's take a look outside of ourselves. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of somebody, maybe a child, whose only portable electronic device is a Nintendo Switch. Maybe they had a particularly good Christmas and they had to choose between getting a Nintendo Switch or a cheap iPad. Maybe they don't even have a cell phone, or maybe they do have a cell phone, but it can't even buffer YouTube correctly, or maybe it just looks like this. So they're gonna want their Nintendo Switch to be very versatile. Somebody like you or me who might have a plethora of different devices that they can watch internet videos on, the Nintendo Switch is gonna be my last choice. But I remember being a kid and spending a Christmas gift on a Panasonic D-Snap camera because it took digital videos and it played MP3s. It did neither of those two well, but it was able to do both, so it was worth it. And now that that's all out of the way, we can go back to looking at the Nintendo Switch as a full-grown adult with expendable income so I can trash on these stupid apps. There were two apps that came into the news recently that kind of inspired this video, the first of which is simply called Piano. A very simple app that just gives you playable piano keys and a couple of baked-in royalty-free songs to play along with. The trouble already starts when you open the app. You have to tap the icon or else it won't launch the game mode. Now, even though there's button prompts on screen, you can touch the screen to strike a key, which is relieving. The black keys aren't pressable, which is revolting, but okay, this is an app for little kids, like a toy piano. But you might notice something way more egregious going on, or maybe you're like me and it might take a moment for it to sink in.
This doesn't look right. So that X, the one that has X above it, that's an extra key.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
That's what's throwing me off.
Yes, so the X key doesn't actually belong there. They just straight up added an additional key. Thankfully, the keys are actually in the right order. The black keys are just a design. They're completely arbitrary and mean nothing. Now, I don't like being the one that makes fun of somebody for just doing their job. But my God, man, as the designer of this app, you had one job, and that was to make a keyboard look like a keyboard. And you just f***ed it all up. Functionally, they just added an additional C key at the end here, which is pretty normal to do. There's usually a C key at the beginning and a C key at the end. But visually, it's wrong. Throws everything off. Oh, maybe that's why they did it. So you could play Mayo. Oh. Again, it's probably for little kids, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal, and I shouldn't be getting this worked up about it. But there's a learn to play section. If a parent gets this for their kid will learn to play it this way. And the parents will be so proud, and then one day they'll be out and about somewhere and they'll see a piano and they'll go, "Oh, little Timmy, why don't you go over there and play us Are You Sleeping?" And the kid will walk over there and confidently play Are You Sleeping? Wrong, because he's so used to having half the keys shifted over. Also, this app is $10, and the 2 minutes we've been talking about it and the, 10 seconds of gameplay footage I've shown you, that's the whole app. For $10, you could also buy Sonic Mania on sale right now. You could buy Exit the Gungeon whenever. You could buy Jedi Academy. You can buy... This publisher has a bunch of shovelware on the Switch right now, all for $10, like a blackjack game, a darts game, a slots game, all for $10. The slots game's only $2 on sale right now, so Go nuts. They also have a game called Bomb, which is the saddest Bomberman clone I have ever seen. The second app that inspired this video isn't actually out yet. It's a drawing app called Colors Live, which actually looks pretty cool. The original Colors came out on the DS. You can now find a slew of time-lapse drawings from over 10 years ago on YouTube. Just search Colors for DS drawing. It's very hard to find any good footage of this stuff. If I had my DS with me, I would do it for you. There was also a successor on the 3DS, complete with layers. It's a pretty robust drawing app considering the hardware that it's on. Now, the same people that made those apps want to bring one to the Nintendo Switch, so they've started a Kickstarter. I don't know about this. The DS and the 3DS both came with a stylus, so it was natural to want to draw on those. And back in those days, not everybody had a phone in their pocket that was capable of running more robust software than this. Their strategy for getting around the stylus problem is by developing their own pressure-sensitive stylus. Pressure sensitivity is very useful for drawing apps and for digital artists. It's what Wacom built an entire company around and made a killing on until Apple came around and gave them some well-needed competition, forcing them to lower their prices. But a pressure-sensitive stylus needs to be powered, and it needs to communicate with the Switch in some way. So it will have a cable and connect to the headphone jack of the Switch. It must be aggravating as a developer to know that the Nintendo Switch has Bluetooth built in, but Nintendo won't let you access that functionality for shit. Drawing tablets are something that I nerd out about, so this actually really interests me. The app itself looks pretty cool, or at least the prototype for the app itself looks pretty cool. It looks like it has all of the makings of a robust drawing app. It kind of reminds me of something like Corel Painter. The demo drawings they have are really spectacular. But in this entire demo video, you never see the app actually in use. Just time-lapse footage exported from the app and some direct feed gameplay of gallery navigation. Wait, there it is. Oh, there it goes. Oh, wait, there it is. Enhance. Ah, there it goes. The fact that it needs a peripheral is a little scary. That never usually goes very well. I really nerd out about drawing technologies, so this really interests me, but I gotta stop looking at this like it's some professional tool. It's just an app for a video game console. I'm sure that it'll be more than capable. I just hope that it's not that expensive, especially with the stylus peripheral. And I hope it's usable and cheaper without that peripheral, as I'd imagine that's how most people would use this thing. Apps like Flipnote were great and popular because of their limitations. There's still a whole community around that style of animation. The bundle with the stylus is a $38 Kickstarter reward right now. Hopefully it stays around that price point when it finally makes it to retail. They've already blasted past their Kickstarter goal. Next is Coloring Book. Guess what that does? Also, it's completely free, which is nice. Well, it's nicer than spending $10 on a piano app that is wrong. What's cool about this app is that you can't actually color outside the lines. Once you put your finger down, you're locked in there. Oh, you can color outside the lines. I was using the wrong tools. Oh. Fuck. I was surprised to find out that you can use the Joy-Con and you can use two at once. So two people can color at the same time. So you can play along with your small child. Here. Okay. I actually think that's kind of cool. After seeing everything piano had to offer, this is actually pretty cool functionality. It also saves your paintings when you're done. The pages are all just generic animals and junk, but there's also some cut the rope illustrations you can color over. As far as I know, these developers have nothing to do with each other. I don't know why there's a crossover here. There's also a free drawing whiteboard. looks like Colors has some competition. Now you may be asking yourself, what's the catch? Why is this free? Well, because with just a few clicks, you can buy additional coloring book pages. The first bundle on the eShop, if you happen to mash A, is $8. So if you're gonna get this for a kid, put a parental lock on it so that they can't make any in-app purchases, or just don't save your credit card information to their Switch. Look, I don't know how you people do it. I'm the only one who uses my Switch. I don't got any little demons running around. There's also comic book reader apps like Inky Pen and Mayo. Inky Pen actually has some pretty cool stuff on there. They have publishers like Dark Horse and IDW, which means that you got stuff like Transformers, Sonic the Hedgehog, Ninja Turtles, stuff like that. They've also recently added a bunch of manga. My brother did a pretty in-depth video on Inky Pen when it first came out, so I won't spoil the details here. If you're very interested in that, go check out that video. But since then, they've made some updates that directly address some of the concerns that he had. So why don't we shoot on all over to Long Island so we can hear a little quick update on how Inky Pen's going now.
Inky Pen, my old friend. It's been a little over a year since we first looked at this strange little app on the Nintendo Switch. Well, in the time since my initial look at the platform, they have made some sizable updates. For one thing, they now have manga. They seem to think this is the most important thing they've done in the past year, so let's just get that out of the way first. But in reality, they've made two major updates that I think help the platform a lot. For one thing, they've added vertical reading. So now you can read the pages of a comic like you would on any other device like an iPad or a Kindle Fire. Now, admittedly, the Switch's screen size and its particularly large bezel don't really make it an optimal reading experience like it would be on, say, an iPad, but it works pretty well, and I prefer it so much more than the previous method of reading it from top to bottom like a web page. Now I can actually read my comic like an actual comic. I mean, I was able to read The Mask Omnibus on my Switch pretty clearly. I could see everything that was happening on the page. The only real issue is that it doesn't auto-rotate. You have to go in manually and set it to read in vertical mode. And it doesn't remember this setting when you back out of one comic and enter into another one. You have to reset it every time you want to read something. And speaking of The Mask Omnibus, I was able to read that without having to renew my Inky Pen subscription. They have added a ton of free comics for you to read without having to pay $7.99 a month. This way, you can try the service out before you commit for the long haul.
It actually made me put in my credit card information and pay for 1 month in order to even get into the app. I could find a way around that. Maybe I can cancel it.
And they actually have a lot of really good stuff that you can just read for free. Most of Valiant's content is available for free on Inky Pen without a subscription. So now you can read James Amos's run on Quantum and Woody, and you can stop hearing me go on about it. It's a very good app with a lot of potential. It has a lot of great publishers on board, but it doesn't have everyone. Particularly, it does not have Marvel, DC, or Image Comics. It is reasonably priced at $7.99 a month, but Comixology Unlimited is cheaper, has more publishers on board, and it's available on more than one device. But at the end of the day, I am comfortable with recommending Inky Pen if you want to read comics on your Switch. They've done a lot to make the service much more appealing than it was a year ago. And if they can keep adding to it, maybe put it on more platforms and definitely add more publishers to the service, then I think there's a bright future for this little app that could. Unless, of course, Comixology comes to the Switch, in which case Inky Pen is kind of
Hey, thanks, Will. And then there's also Isneo with significantly worse comics. From the intro video, it looks like they seem to focus more on their manga library, but overall, it isn't as good as Inky Pen.
It legitimately takes forever to load anything.
There's other more popular apps for the Nintendo Switch, like the YouTube app, like the Hulu app, but it's still not going to be my go-to video streaming device. There's no Netflix app, which would be nice, but what I think is weirder is that there's no Twitch app. It's a gaming console. People could use their Switch as a little tablet to read chat. That would be awesome. And of course, there's Pokemon Home, which just allows you to manage your Pokemon from all of your different Pokemon games. These are all boring though. We can realistically speculate about what apps we'd like to see on here, like a Netflix app. But I wanted to talk about the weird, like, is the world really ready for a professional drawing app on the Nintendo Switch? Is it something that the market really needs right now? Labo has shown us that there's a lot you can do with this hardware. So what other weird third-party software could we potentially see on this thing? And what do you guys think about what you've seen so far? Have you found any uses for any of these apps? Have I left any apps out? I legitimately don't think I have. There isn't that much. Leave it in the comments below. At me on Twitter. And all this other social media garbage. Of course, we got new videos and live streams here all the time. Our schedule's in a pinned tweet over on Twitter. We got Wulff Den Live every single Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. There's been some clips thrown in here from Wulff Den Live. You're missing out if you're not hanging out over there. We also got streams over on twitch.tv/WulffDen. The schedule's sporadic. Go drop a follow. Make sure you get the notifications on so you know when I'm live. I might be live right now while you're watching this. And of course, the most important thing that you can do to help us out is just subscribe. That's the easiest. And share this video with a friend who might be able to do some cool stuff with these apps. Or maybe you just want to show him the garbage that this thing has to offer. Thank you guys very much. I love your faces. Have yourself a good week.